Is Halo Studios paying forgers now because they're carrying Halo nowadays? Dog. They've been carrying Halo. What are you talking about? No, they're not gonna be able. They're never gonna pay They're never gonna pay the forgers. But I'm saying, but what I've kind of always talked about when it comes to the forgers, right, and giving people the proper due when it comes to carrying this game, because the forgers have been the live service of this game, right? I mean, the forgers out here have been slaying it, like going crazy, man. They've been doing amazing work, keeping the game alive. Which honestly, I totally agree with like how Halo Studios has handled, right, with all the content updates ever since like the layoffs happened back in early 2023, right? I completely would have done the exact same thing as what Halo Studios is doing right now. Is kind of relying on those forgers to kind of carry the game, because they just don't have the resources or don't have the enough people to put that kind of content out for people to enjoy. And the community is very much all in when it comes to trying to create this kind of stuff. So I think it's a big thing more about maybe if you're not able to pay the forgers right, because maybe it's just, I can imagine it just being a complete headache with Microsoft, because technically that would make them a contractor of Microsoft, which adds a whole nother legal level to things and probably would add extra barriers for Halo Studios to be able to accomplish what they want to do with this idea of having forgers create maps, right? Where they probably have to go through like publishing and like having to go through like proper like bug testing through Xbox systems. I don't know. I'm just imagining how worse of a situation it could be if they actually had to pay the forgers and had them as contractors for the game, right? I'm assuming that just add a whole nother layer of difficulty, which would just slow the process down to a halt and make it so then we would even have a chance to have new forge maps come in. So this is probably the best thing they can do with like, hey, we know we can't pay you guys, but just know that like you can put on a resume or something like that, which honestly is probably worth more than actual payment of working on forge maps. Like, yeah, these forgers definitely do deserve to be compensated. These forgers deserve to be compensated in some kind of way. I mean, if it's not monetary, then it has some other kind of other way. And honestly, what they could do with this is just essentially put it on a resume, which like being able to say like you created content, like map design content within Halo, and put that into matchmaking, go through the proper testing systems, working hand in hand with Halo Studios to get the stuff posted. I mean, like that's really big. That's a huge thing for anybody who wants to be a game dev or anyone who wants to get into map design or anything like that within gaming. We've seen so many prominent forgers out there get actual jobs within the game industry because they started out with Forge and worked with Halo Studios back then, 343. Dude, now they've gone full on into like map development. Like, but it was a specific playlist. You had the Halo 2 battle rifle that everyone started with. It was reduced boosts. Mythic Arena. That's what it was. Yes. Okay. If you guys remember this playlist here from Halo 5, I think this came out back in 2019. It was called Mythic Arena. And it was like an interesting take on Halo 5's gameplay, which kind of, at the time, blended Halo 5's gameplay to make it a little more classic style, but also new at the same time. This was actually a huge hit, and people really enjoyed it, myself included. I loved this playlist. Sadly enough, I think it just kind of died off just because like it was just not the core gameplay experience of Halo. But something like this, you know, who helped make this who was like the head? I shouldn't say who was the head, but like some of the people that were behind some of the key forging of this mode ended up going off to be actual map developers and working for major companies out there. One guy in particular that comes to my mind is Blaze. Now he works at 1047 now. You're currently senior level designer at 1047 Games. Previously at Ubisoft, guy just forged like a madman and made amazing stuff back in the day. And you can see like his art station right here. But you can see like but then he got involved working with like actual map design and creating stuff and made some good stuff out of that to where it got him to the point where he was involved with Halo and, you know, worked hand in hand. He started out just being like a guy just making forge maps and made really good stuff. And got to the point where like 343 actually brought him on as like, I think they had like a dedicated forge team, if I remember correctly at the time, where they would actually make some stuff like more in-house kind of stuff rather than like having like outdoor partnerships, just because that was kind of Halo Studios at the time, 343 Industries like vibe at the time, was just kind of like, we'll just do everything ourselves, which definitely has not led to the best experiences, obviously. But like Blaze right here, like I said, he's done amazing work now. He's actually starting to be part of the gaming industry as a whole. And he started because he was a forger just working at Halo and just making amazing content, and then branched out to do actual professional work. Infinite Forges, right? Infinite Forges made amazing stuff. If you guys remember Infinite Forges, he just started out just making really awesome Halo 5 Forge content. Got recognized by Halo Studios, worked hand in hand with them when it comes to creating content. And they even actually remade Hydro back when before Halo Infinite's launch. And he kind of like made this whole thing. And then if you guys know, he was also the same guy who did like a lot of like the Halo Infinite in Unreal Engine, what would it look like kind of stuff. Like even went like viral, and IGN even covered his stuff because he started dipping it once he got, you know, really good at Forge, working with the Halo Studios, started dipping a toe into Unreal and making some really great stuff there as well, to the point it actually led to him becoming a level designer in the game industry as well. And that specifically, now he's actually working on the new Borderlands game. He's like an art level designer or something like that, whatever you call it. I mean, like he just has an amazing eye for this kind of stuff. And so it kind of rounded it back to what the original discussion was about, like paying forgers. Like, yeah, that would be the short, simple, easy way to do it, but it also probably would overcomplicate things and slow down the actual content flow that you would need for Halo Infinite to make it an effective semi-live service-y kind of game, you know? But these forgers can get, you know, ways of being able to add this up to the resume, being able to make connections within the industry, which is way more useful than any kind of like, you know, $20, $50, $100 paycheck they can get from Microsoft for doing this kind of stuff as a contractor, and they have to jump through legal loopholes constantly left and right, because Microsoft is not going to be very friendly of just handing out money like that. Even though they're valued at $1 trillion, you know, their money's the reason why they got there is because they know how to spend their money properly, if you know what I mean. So this is kind of where I feel like, yeah, I wish these forgers were directly compensated because they spend a lot of time and this kind of stuff doing actual level design and development, but it also helps build up their chops, because I'm sure a lot of these guys who are making these maps, these forgers, I would hope to think a lot of them want to get jobs in the game industry or aspire to be there. I'm sure some of them would just want to you know, make stuff and have fun and have recognition of their stuff being put in the game. So there's also that as well. Direct compensation, while it's the easy, obvious thing, might not be the best option for Halo as a whole, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with that whole thing. I feel like they should be paid. They've been carrying Halo Infinite for the longest time, but I just feel like a lot of them are there are a lot of unsung heroes when it comes to the development of Halo Infinite and all the crazy different Forge maps that have been made, you know, throughout Halo Infinite. So that's kind of my take on the whole thing when it comes to, should Halo Studios be paying their forgers? I would say yes, but I do think there are other forms of compensation that are not monetary that can be very beneficial to these people out here who are, I'm assuming if you're this deep into Forge, you're probably an aspiring map designer at some point, because these guys are making such amazing maps that like you'd have to aspire to be a game designer in some capacity to be this good at Forge, right? Like even when I was making my crappy Halo 3 and Halo Reach maps, I was like, one day I'm going to be a level designer. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to make the best maps ever, you know? Did not end up being the case there. My maps were garbage, but at the time I thought they were fantastic because I knew how to merge things in Halo 3. And also it's a situation too with the forgers that they know what they're getting themselves into. They know like what they're doing. They knew like getting into this, like, yeah, we're not going to get paid for it, but they would assume there'd be some form of other kind of compensation out there. And there definitely will be for them. I mean, right now for Infinite, they're just trying to keep it going, you know? Just kind of follow up with like a community promise of what they gave to the community of a live service Halo game, but it was only truly a live service game for about 6 months between season 3 to season 5. You know, I just want to know what's next. Like, what are we gonna do to make Halo great again? To make people want to jump in and take part in this amazing franchise, because there's still so much that Halo still has to say and offer and can do in this new environment within game industry, and also when it comes to shooters in general, right? Like I don't know. There's so much potential out there, man. There's so much. There's even with this franchise being, oh god, 24 years old at this point. There's still so much that can be said. Well, that's really just because in the last 10 years we've only had one game. But still, there's still a lot that can be said and done. The biggest thing is that we just need more. We need more Halo. It's kind of like the same thing when I asked the community director, Sketch, at the HCS Worlds. And I was like, what does Halo need the most of? What does Halo need? And he said, Halo just needs more. We need more games. We just more everything. We just need more content. And that's the big reason why they switched over to Unreal 5, is so they can get that content out. Hopefully the game can perform well for a live service, probably another live service Halo game. Hopefully the performance can be well enough where I can get like 144 frames on a 3080. We'll see. And also, hopefully with it being on Unreal, they can actually function well enough to where you can get content on a regular basis. And that's why they made that switch, rather than trying to fix the Slip Space engine up to make it whatever they can be, because I think that engine is just fully borked now at this point. It's just too old and can't keep up.